Let's go off in a different direction.
Obviously, I have a little bit more ability to make change, which is a nice position to be in.
Yeah.
I struggle to put it politely about myself.
If you don't want to be polite, you are absolutely in the right place. You can blame me for drawing it out of you, you know.
The problem about me and my dad is that personality-wise, we are extremely similar.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It definitely does put more pressure on you to overperform. It's a perfect way to define it as like a full circle moment.
People will underestimate you, and that gives you an edge.
I actually really enjoy that part.
Yeah. You worked that one out, yeah. Welcome to Supplied, the podcast about how fresh food gets to us from the people who produce it, move it and cook it. I'm Rob Burton. I've spent over 45 years both growing and then supplying fruit and veg to some of Britain's top restaurants. Now I get the chance to talk to people behind the food we eat. From specialist growers, committed suppliers and Michelin-star kitchens, we'll hear how they got started, why they do what they do and the lessons they've learned along the way. So whether you work in fresh food or just care where yours comes from, you're in the right place. This podcast is made possible by Fresho, the order management platform that helps food suppliers run smoother, faster and smarter operations. Now, let's get into the episode. My guest today is Rosie Labbett, who is Head of Procurement at Wood's Foodservice. Wood's has been established for over 40 years, securing a well-respected name in the industry as a leading premium wholesaler in London and now many other areas of the country. From a very young age, Rosie took inspiration from her father Darren's drive and business sense, deciding to join the family business at 16. Now, at 22 years old, she experienced multiple roles within the business whilst gaining valuable qualifications and is currently doing a management degree. Outside her busy professional life, Rosie describes creative outlets as necessary for keeping a balanced mind. This includes writing poetry, performing through singing and dancing, and structured exercise and a healthy regime. Rosie, welcome. Thanks for coming to Supply and talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about you so far. What's your story so far?
Pretty well summarised, to be fair, but
More to it than that, surely.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I joined the business fairly early on. It was part-time because I was still at school, so I was spending summers there, weekends there,
Yep.
in mainly the customer service role. And then I guess once I finished school, it felt fairly natural to kind of opt for a full-time job, see how it goes. So I went into more of a sales role. Was there for a couple of years, and then something opened up in the buying side of the business, which I always felt I was probably more naturally inclined to the skill set that involved, and maybe more interested in what it involved as well from a sourcing point of view. I went into that and really enjoyed it since. But yeah, it's a long way to go, hopefully.
So you left school and didn't go down the uni route?
I actually did. I went to Nottingham University to study liberal arts, which, for anyone that doesn't know, because no one seems...
That includes me, yeah.
It's a blend of many different humanities subjects, such as like English literature, drama, geography. It was kind of the degree for people that don't know what they want to do. And I think that very well summarises where I was at. Yeah. After 1 year, I decided that it kind of lacked direction and maybe potentially defeated the point of doing a degree in the first place. So I wasn't afraid to pivot from that. And I took no shame in sort of redirecting myself and doing what was best for me. But it was a difficult decision. And yeah, that's when I sort of decided, right, I'm going to commit to Woods in full. I have to say, I did have to go through a normal interview process and wait for something to open up. Certainly wasn't handed to me on a plate, but I did obviously have the advantage of the connections, and I did an interview process with Lana, who at the time was our commercial director, and she offered me a sales role, and since then I've been full-time.
Okay, so you had a year at uni.
Yeah.
And then you decided to get a proper job. Do you miss the uni life? Do you miss the experience that goes with it? That's a question coming from a bloke who's never been to uni, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, it's always hard to answer because I think there's certain aspects of it that I actually believe are quite important to your development, like living away from home, having that sort of socialising, and also budgeting experience.
Yes.
There's many different things that I think are valuable to it, but I haven't regretted at any point the decision I made. I think it was more suited to me, and it should be treated as an individual thing. A lot of people don't treat it as an individual thing. I think there's various pressures that direct you towards university, even if you're not ready for it. So for me, it was the right choice. And I think I've developed those skills in other ways through certain other scenarios that I've experienced. And working life, being introduced to that at an earlier stage has had its benefits as well, from sort of a comparison to my peers, but also there are things that I look at them that I have missed out on. So it's depends how you want to look at it.
What do you think you've missed out on? And does it really matter?
Probably not. No,
Yeah.
I would say the main thing I missed out on was maybe just like that kind of experience of having the pace to sort of figure out what you want to do with your freedom, and that time that is you're a little bit more granted to just sort of taking it slower. I didn't experience that, and there have been times when, I wish I had, but I think, to be honest with you, I wouldn't swap my routine and structured sort of way of living compared to that, because I think just naturally I am that sort of person that is a bit more regimented, and it's worked for me. But I think there will come a stage of life later down the line where I'll get to experience a little bit more freedom, a little bit more time, but I'm kind of happy to put in the shift now in order to get there first. That's the way I look at it anyway.
So obviously at the time when you made that decision to come out of uni after a year, what were your friends saying to you? How did they view it?
I think they were very supportive. I'm very lucky to say I've got a very good network of friends. The same friends that I had in secondary school have followed throughout the years. And we still remain as close today. So I'm lucky enough to say that I don't think they would have judged any decision I would have made. However, some of them definitely had their doubts over whether I was going to do a degree. I think some of them naturally felt that it kind of binds me to woods if I decide not to do a degree, because my options are naturally limited, which is a fair comment. But then obviously since I decided to start up a management degree, that kind of changed a little bit anyway, and I'm keeping my options as open as possible.
Yeah.
So.
I have to say I'm a huge fan of people like you who make that decision that the degree or further education, call it what you will, is not right for them.
Yeah.
And they get into the commercial workplace, if you will.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned this before in other podcasts. In my humble opinion, there's a lot of people that go to uni who would possibly be better placed getting into the workplace earlier.
Yeah.
Apprenticeship, whatever it is. Sometimes I believe there's peer pressure, parental pressure.
Yeah.
Parents under pressure from the parents living next door because their child's gone to uni, so ours must go to uni as well. And to me, I think what you've done is great. It's not right for me, so I'm going to make the change and I'm going to do this. And I think that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of Woods, you're head of procurement now, yeah?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What does that entail?
Well, at this stage, it's very exciting because it's kind of the first experience that we've had of a fully developed procurement team. So I stepped in as sort of procurement manager vaguely initially because we didn't have a setup where we had commercial category managers and then buyers as a separate sort of entity.
Yes.
So up until this point, it's been viewed quite operationally in terms of our buying processes. And in the last year, we've really developed that into more of a commercial mindset. So I've helped to build the team of buyers that we have now to sort of function the way that we want them to. And I'm also studying a SIPS level 4 qualification, which has really helped me understand how procurement teams need to be built. So yeah, we've brought in a couple of buyers in various different categories, and my main responsibility is obviously to manage those guys, but also to ensure that we're sourcing products in the right way, at the right time, at the right price, all of that stuff that you learn. So yeah,
easier said than done as well.
Yeah, no, I mean the balance for sure is difficult, but I really like procurement and I feel very passionately about it. It's such a good fit for me, and I think I've really found my place with it. But there's still a long way to go. It's just I kind of like being in the stage of building because it's more exciting. Every day looks very different, so it's hard to answer that question. Sometimes it might be spending time with the people in the team. Sometimes it might be going out visiting suppliers, assessing new opportunities, even speaking with customers because it's important to hear their point of view. But yeah, I would say it's a work in progress at the moment. We certainly have our objectives of what we want it to be, but it's taking a little while to kind of get it up to that speed. But the strides that we've made in the past year have been pretty exceptional, to be fair. We've started really making some efficiencies in our buying processes, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, you touched upon that. You're learning things. The beauty about the industry that we're both in is that you can do it for the next 200 years, and you will keep learning.
Yeah.
It's never going to get boring, and it sounds like it works for you. I like the fact that no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
I like the variety. I like the variation. That works for me as a person. Not saying that's. I think everybody should be that way. Clearly not. But from my point of view, I like that. I like almost not knowing what's going to happen next, sort of, and what's the challenge of the day, so to speak.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I think you have to be careful what you wish for, because then sometimes there's an extent to that where it's like, oh God, probably could do without this.
Yeah, but then that's then the difficult day.
Yeah.
But it's only a day. I mean, I take the view that my day has been reasonably challenging so far, but that doesn't define what the week's going to be. I've got another chance tomorrow.
Yeah. There's lessons from everything. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I take it very much a day at a time. If I'm having a great day, I'll enjoy it for what it is, and if I'm having a bad day, well, it just doesn't matter because we'll have another go tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's works for me anyway. So you said you were involved in some of the sales as well before you got involved. So how did you enjoy that? You obviously recognised that it perhaps didn't play to your strengths and your skill set.
Yeah.
But did you actually enjoy the process of being involved in sales?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I mean, what we've just spoken about sort of the variety of a role is really important to me, and I felt that sales was something that you could achieve that with, because you're meeting different customers every day, you've got a different objective with every meeting that you're having, and it's just a lot of like social networking, learning about different restaurants, how they function. One need might be completely different to the next in terms of the customers you're seeing each day. So there was a lot to enjoy about that role, for sure. But I think it was more so kind of a personal thing. I wanted to challenge myself, and potentially, I think sales, not that it's harder or easier, but it certainly like spoke more naturally to me, because the skill set was fairly comfortable. I understood what I needed to do, build relationships, kind of upsell certain products, and that came fairly naturally. Whereas procurement, I felt there was a certain level of operational understanding and strategy that had to be learned, because we're so closely linked to the other processes of the business. So, warehouse and stock replenishment, everything. I think a lot of people describe procurement as kind of a all-consuming role, because you have to consider every single stage of the business. Whereas I guess sales is a little bit more individual. So that was with views to learn more about the business, but also my skill set personally. I think I struggle to put it politely about myself, but
well, don't be polite. If you don't want to be polite, you are absolutely in the right place.
My dad would be laughing now, I'll tell you. I think I've got like a little bit more of a fiery personality. So when it comes to negotiations and having to be a little bit more sort of serious or change up the tone in different scenarios, is something that I wanted to challenge myself with more, because I felt that was underutilized by the sort of upbeat sales personality or persona that I was kind of taking on. So I like the fact that I get to express different sides of my personality and abilities in this role.
And you find that you can morph into the different personalities quite easily. So like, you can be one person at one moment and then somebody a little different at the moment. You can do that naturally?
Yeah, I would say so. Without obviously, I don't know. I mean, that depends who the person that's talking to me, what they think about it. But I would like to think that I can, because, I mean, when I meet people, I'm a very bubbly, lively person. But at the same time, if there's, a supplier that we feel isn't performing or whatever the scenario is, I have no problem in sort of putting that hat on and letting them know what the needs of the business are. And that can still be done in a diplomatic, professional way. But very much a different tone of voice than what a friendly conversation might feel like. So
different tone of voice, different use of words. But I always feel it's very important to keep respect through the whole process.
Of course.
I have a saying: if I have to raise my voice, I've failed. I've failed on two reasons. One, because I haven't dealt with the problem quickly enough before it's got me to the point where I want to blow a fuse. And secondly, it's just disrespectful, particularly if you're in a situation where you're talking to somebody or shouting at somebody, which I don't do, who can't shout back. It's not a fair fight.
No, and that's the thing. I think getting the balance of, because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we're dealing with do feel close to home because it's family business at the end of the day. And, you know, for the most part, our relationship with our suppliers is absolutely amazing. And we have a very sort of solid understanding between our suppliers and us about how we operate, what our service level expectations are. But I think it's more so getting that initial expectation out and not having to get it to a point of dispute, because obviously, as you mentioned, neither of us want to get there. So that's where I think being just definitive about what our needs as a business are and kind of being on the same page about that is the most important thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, everything's personal because it's you know, we all want the best for the business. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned on a number of occasions it's a family business, and am I right in thinking that? So there's your dad, there's you, there's your sister Holly, and your brother Lewis has now got involved as well.
Yeah.
Why? Why have all three of you decided to get involved? Now, I guess you've all got different reasons. You've got yours, and Holly will have hers, and Lewis has. But why? What's it?
What a question. I actually think that's easier to answer than what you might expect. We're all a very close family unit. We grew up with my dad kind of predominantly sort of taking on the parental role for various different reasons. So I think naturally that brought us closer as a family unit.
Yes.
We have always kind of had a close sibling relationship, but we've also seen my dad, you know, dip in and out of the personal and the professional quite a lot. Sometimes that would always feel merged because he'd maybe bring us along and sit us in the office while he did something important. We'd sort of be twiddling around in our chairs wondering what's going on. But I think it's things like that you witness and you then build a bit of a connection without really realising it. Also, a lot of his like parental techniques I've now seen mirrored in his management style, and it's very strange to sort of put that link together. But I suppose what I'm getting at is that it's always been a part of our life before we even fully took the leap into getting involved, whether that's through our dad and his presence and personality that just runs through the business as like the veins of the business, or you know, just the things that we did witness throughout the years. I think, as you say, we all have our different reasons for deciding to get involved. I've explained a little bit about mine, but my sister actually did pursue a very different path. Initially after school, she did a degree.
So she went to uni?
She went to uni. Yeah, she did.
Did you do the full term?
Yeah, she did fashion journalism, which she really enjoyed. She was only in London as well, so still kind of close to home.
Yes.
And then after that, she took on a couple of different roles. She worked at Harrods on the shop floor.
Yes.
And then she worked at a private members club as a receptionist.
Yes.
And I think both jobs kind of taught her a lot about hospitality in a way, which is a great sort of way to pivot into the scenario that we're in now. But at the private members club, I think she felt she wanted obviously to look for a bit of a longer term career, and having had that experience at that level in hospitality, she felt that she'd be kind of more interested in pursuing a role in the business. So that's kind of how she got involved. And I think she's really enjoying it. She works as a sales rep currently.
Yes.
But I know that she's
any good?
I think she is, yeah. I mean, if you were to compare us, I don't know who you'd say is better, but I think
you're in procurement, so you can sit in judgment on her. Yeah.
I think she's a very, very good sales rep.
Yeah.
I think probably as good as they come, to be fair. She seems to have really strong relationships with her customers, which comes to my benefit. Sometimes they let us eat in their restaurants, which is always a perk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that just goes to show how well she's done at relationship building in that role. But yeah, that's a bit about her. And then Lewis is, well, he just turned...
in terms of age, so you're 22?
Yeah. Holly's 24.
Holly's 24.
Nearly 25 next month. And then Lewis is just 18.
Yes.
On the 10th of October, he turned 18. So yeah, we have 5 years between me and Lewis and 7 years between him and Holly.
Yes.
Which I think it's been quite a nice age dynamic, actually. Yeah. But him getting involved at this stage, I mean, he is coming straight from school and he didn't do A-levels. He went to college for a year and did business.
Yes.
So he's coming in at a slightly less qualified point of view than me and Holly, which is why that he's starting in more of a warehouse role, learning the roots of the business, and kind of like the backbone of how the operations work.
Yeah.
And if he is to pursue something long term, I think he probably would be well equipped for the operational side of the business.
Yeah.
Whereas me and Holly, obviously in commercial, it'd be nice to have more of a balance anyway. So I think we're all where we need to be.
Yeah. Do you know what his motivation was for joining the business?
I think it was I think he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do long term.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's so young, and he finished school, did this business course, wasn't sure how to apply it, what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, to be fair to him, at this stage, it's probably more about a little bit of work experience, a little bit of money in the pocket while he sort of figures out what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I think him coming into the business is less of a decided thing about him being there long term.
What,
but
his decision, or is your dad, or indeed you and Holly having influencing him on that, or are you just letting him do his own thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my dad showed a willingness to offer him a role, but he's always been very good at being as neutral as possible. He obviously is very passionate about the business, and it's his life and his main sort of project in life. But I think his closeness to it has spoken to us indirectly, more so than him trying to have an influence on us about whether or not to join. I think he's always been very happy for us to pursue our own paths, and Holly did for a little while. I certainly pondered on what I was going to do, and same with Lewis. But I think this is more about, right, in the immediate future, this is a little bit of a sort of short-term plan for him. But I think it came about from more his interest than my dad's, actually. But naturally, I think we've been exposed to some of the good things about being part of the business just from hearing and seeing.
Yeah.
Thanks to Fresho for sponsoring this episode. Fresho provides order management and AI order entry software that fresh food suppliers love. From automating how you receive orders, to picking, pricing, delivering, invoicing, and payments, Fresho makes your business run better. And it's all backed with 24/7 support, so you get the help when you need it. To find out more, go to fresho.com.
We did a podcast recently that was just about family businesses and succession.
Yeah.
And how irrational, emotional, and all sorts of other things that family businesses can be.
Yeah.
If they pull together, it's a real strength. If they're pulling apart, then it's completely destructive in many cases.
Yeah.
And generally, I've been having these conversations with your dad's generation.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it from I'm curious to understand the dynamics from your end of it. I mean, how long's Lewis been with the business now?
Literally maybe a month or two.
Got you.
Very early days.
Is there anything you would say to him to do or not do as part of functioning as a family within a commercial enterprise that is the family business?
I have said things to him, actually, so it's a little bit easy to answer that question because I suppose I know what I've advised him to do, whether I'm intended to or not. The first thing I said from a personal development point of view is take the time to do what you want to do before you join the business. And the reason I say that is because it's more damaging for him to decide to do that later on, which is something that I've considered doing, and knowing that would leave a gap somewhere. I also think you have to have certainty about who you are, what your intentions are for being there, and what your objectives are for however big that part of the company is that you're responsible for. What are your intentions with that personally, and are you able to convey your mission to Dad, whoever it might be, that and his line manager, Wayne, who's our ops manager, are you able to convey that in a way that's going to have an impact but also be respectful of the sort of hierarchy? Because I think getting to the point I am now, obviously I have a little bit more ability to make change, which is a nice position to be in.
Yeah.
But I think it's very difficult when you feel very passionately and you're working at a low level about the things that need to be done to improve things, because you don't want that relationship that you've got, parental relationship, to kind of give you any kind of entitlement to try and impact change in the wrong way. So I told him I would be wise in respecting the hierarchy that's been given to you.
Absolutely.
Giving the feedback to the people that have a chance to do something about it before anything gets escalated higher than that. And I think that's just being respectful of the people that have worked hard to get where they are, and building a close relationship with them, which will only serve to benefit you in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if Wayne's his manager, don't go behind Wayne's manager and go and tell Dad, for instance, because that's
long story short.
It's disrespectful. It's just the wrong thing to do.
Yeah,
and it's almost trying to leverage your surname.
Yeah.
Put bluntly, because it's either actually on that point. So, do you ever feel under pressure? extra pressure because you've got the right surname or indeed the wrong surname, depends on which way you look at it, because, ultimately it's your dad's business.
Yeah.
Do you feel any pressure? And also, do you ever feel, when I say pressure to overperform, and conversely, do you ever feel as though it's been a disadvantage because of your surname?
I think disadvantage would be an unfair word to say, because I'm very aware of the privilege that I've been given. First of all,
But haven't you got it on merit?
Yeah, of course. No, I think there's a balance of the two. It's just that I'm very self-aware, and I understand that my passage into the business wasn't conventional. I didn't have a degree at the point of entry into the sales role, and obviously, as you say, I guess qualification comes into place when you're applying for a reputable business. And
the qualifications, I mean, that, what's that about?
well,
I'm more interested in the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who've got a list of qualifications as long as their arm, but they haven't got a work ethic.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Frankly, I'm not interested.
Yeah, and I'm actually of the same mindset as you, but I think the world is still getting there with that. So I have to respect that is the conventional route, and I definitely award myself the merit of I got to this stage, or the stage that I'm at so far, because I have put in a lot of work. I've also been given opportunities potentially quite quickly compared to, again, another conventional route, but I just think if I was to pick apart and compare what I would be if I was someone else, we'd be here all day, because no one can answer that question. So I don't think disadvantage is the right word. In fact, it's obviously been an advantage in a lot of ways. But one thing I will say is that it definitely does put more pressure on you to overperform. Sure. And I don't think that comes from my dad, actually.
No.
It comes from me, if anything, because it's like, I have a passion for the business, but I don't want to let my family down. I don't want the people within the business to look at me, moving up the ranks and thinking that's not fair, or, there's someone else that deserves that more. So I think it's really important to me every day as a daily mission to reinforce the fact that I'm here for the right reasons. I want to do what's best for the business, and I'm willing to put in the graft. I'm willing to work hard. And if that means stepping in to help cover a department that's not necessarily related to my role, there's two hats I have to think with. One is procurement manager, and one is someone who wants to be in this business for the long haul. And that means thinking much more generally about what message I'm conveying, and it matters to me what my colleagues think of me and what they think of my intentions. So I think it's more pressure, but definitely not a disadvantage, and I'm very grateful for where I am and what I've been given up until this point. So
nice that you use the word grateful. That's nice. That's lovely to hear. But you mentioned you sort of, I think you mentioned privilege there, but my knowledge of your father is that he wouldn't put you in a position where you were going to fail.
No. He
would do it on merit. And I think it's important that people understand that, because it could be classed as nepotism. Yeah. But actually, certainly in this situation, I say with my knowledge of Darren, is that he's not going to go down that route. In fact, question, do you think he might have been a little harder on you than he would have been with another who he wasn't related to, that wasn't his daughter?
Dad, if you're watching this, sorry. No. Well, I think...
No, put it like it is. He can handle it.
No, I completely agree with your comment about his intentions for putting me in the role. He's always said to me, ever since I joined and was working at a low level in customer service, he said to me, I will always do what's right for the business over and above individuals. And I truly believe that he's stuck by his word on that. I honestly, when I say, there's been opportunities given to me, that hasn't been in spite of, hard work. But yeah, it's an interesting question. I think.
Do you feel you've got it on merit? That's the bit that really matters. It's not what everybody else thinks. Do you feel you are where you are today because of you and your skills and abilities?
Yeah,
that's
I do.
It then. And that's the answer to the question.
And I feel that people I meet, even if there's some initial confusion about maybe my age or whatever it might be, it's very quickly tidied up once they've had a conversation with me, because my knowledge of the business and everything that I've done to build up my database of contacts and knowledge, and a lot of research that I've done, just the experiences that I've had, I think people can tell that I'm passionate about what I'm doing and I've got my own place in the business. But what you say about him applying more pressure, whether he knows it or not, I think, we live together. So when I come home from work every night, it wouldn't be uncommon for us to sit for 2-3 hours and talk about work. And we have tried to draw the line with the boundaries on that.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done. I mean, it's sometimes we both want to talk about it.
Yeah,
and
if you're
it's
willing
kind of
participants, it's absolutely fine. It's when
Yeah.
one is pushing the issue and the other one is like, I really don't want to do this now.
Yeah, but my sister has this amazing ability of like, right, I'm shutting it off. I'm in personal mode. And I envy that a little bit because I don't have the same capability, and neither does my dad. And Holly doesn't live with us. She lives with her fiance elsewhere. So it's just me and dad at home a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So that becomes more difficult when we're sort of isolated, because we both have that habit and we both put pressure on each other sometimes, because I'm sort of saying to him, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And he'll be saying the same thing to me. And it's productive, but it's also, you never know how much that might be contributing to the pressure in my head of, right.
Yeah. And sometimes it is important for there to be an off button.
Yeah.
Because otherwise day starts to follow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been at work, you're talking about work, you go to bed, you wake up and you repeat the process day after day after day.
Yeah.
But going back to the age thing, I mean, it's just a number.
Yeah.
It is just a number. I mean, you're 22, I'm 62. Well, it's impossible for you to be 22 based on the person that's in front of me now, because you speak with such authority, knowledge, self-awareness. It's fabulous. It's impossible for me to be 62 because I just can't be 62. I don't feel 62.
Yeah.
I certainly don't behave like I'm 62. It's just a number, and people sometimes get hung up on, well, if somebody's a given age, that puts them in a particular criteria or particular box, if you will. I was at a function a couple of weeks ago, talking to some friends, and this lady said to me, she said, you've got to change the way you live your life, she said, because in golf terms, she said, at your age, you are now on the back nine. And I went, no, I'm still on the first tee.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. It's a mindset. Whether you want to be, if you think you're 22, you act like what you perceive 22 to be. Well, that's just a choice.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think it's more sometimes that I guess comes from myself in some ways. I don't want to say that I doubt myself, but I think, naturally being so responsible so early on, you do want to, make yourself proud, do the best of the role that you can do. And I think that involves some, oh, hang on, can I do this? Can I not? And it's all a bit trial and error. So I think most of it is probably just me being so keen to prove what I'm here for and what I'm here to do, and not have that be misconceived by anything else. So,
I mean, I actually think the fact that you're 22 gives you a real edge, because people will underestimate you, and that gives you an edge.
I actually really enjoy that part.
Yeah. You've worked that one out, yeah.
No, I mean, you're right. I think that my generation in particular, we're quite a unique generation. I have a lot to offer this role that, I don't know, someone who'd maybe be more typically appointed into a role like this, a little bit older or a little bit more experienced. There's obviously benefits to that, but I don't let that write off the benefit that I can bring, which is a new perspective, a new way of functioning that our generation are now entering in the workforce with, and also being able to speak with people, my peers within the company, who are of a similar age and, of a similar understanding, in a way where maybe some of the other senior staff can't quite do. So I think that's a really good benefit internally.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point there. It's something I never thought of, that different generations just behave in different ways.
Yeah.
And if you can sort of start bridging the gap and using the strengths of one and recognising perhaps the weaknesses of the other.
Yeah.
Experience is, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the older I get, the better I get, because I just know more.
Yeah.
It's simple. And that's true of anybody of any age.
Yeah.
At the end of today, you will be a wiser person than when you woke up this morning, because things would have, you'd have just learnt shit. That's the way it is.
I would have spoken to you.
Oh, well, you flatter me, madam. Just go back to, is there anything you would say to your dad in terms of the way that he may have treated you when you joined the business? Is there anything you'd say to him? Say, well, look, you did this with me. Don't do that with Lewis.
Tell
it like it is.
I think I would try to encourage the cap on the work-life balance. Like, I do think that I encourage it as equally as he does, and maybe that won't be as big of a sort of stumbling block for him and Lewis, because Lewis is quite good at just going with the flow. He's a little bit more relaxed. He doesn't let things sort of stay on his mind for very long. So he probably won't come home with as much to say, but I would advise them both to just make sure they maintain their relationship as family as well as colleagues. I think me and my dad have done a very good job of that, but there probably have been some moments where it feels like I'm thinking too much about the work dad and what he thinks about me in a family scenario. And, you know, whether it's like we're playing a board game or something and I want him to think I'm good at the game so he knows that I'm good at this and that and I've got this skill set.
Don't you just want to beat him?
Well, yeah, that's obviously the main objective.
That's of course, yes. So let's not fanny around with this one. That's it. You want to beat him.
Yeah. But I think he wouldn't have it any other way. The problem about me and my dad is that personality-wise, we are extremely similar.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I should have prefaced this interview with that. No, and I think that's a very good thing. But hopefully we won't have the same issue of sort of both having that hyperfixation on certain things, work-related, that make it a little bit more blurred sometimes when they're at home and just spending time as a family. So that would be my biggest advice. But my dad, I can't really critique him for...
Oh, go on.
No, I can't. I'm trying to think...
You can blame me for drawing it out of you, you know.
No,
Well, if you don't, I am going to.
No, we have... Maybe he shouldn't expect Lewis to be as obsessed with the business as he is. I think that's fair to say.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say that I am as interested because it's an expectation from him, but I think maybe naturally, you know, there's things that he's dealing with at high level and that are very exciting for the future of the business that Lewis just might not be ready for yet. And like he might even feel are a little bit scary or quite daunting to talk about. I know that Holly feels like that sometimes as well when future plans are discussed. Luckily, I feel more excited by that and I'm kind of open for that conversation. But that doesn't mean all three of us need to be, and it doesn't mean anything about the future. It's just the way we feel at this current moment. So,
I mean, in terms of the future of Woods, where's it going?
Oh, I've only had a crystal ball to answer that question.
Okay, where would you like it to go?
Well, I think when people talk to me, I think a lot of people feel like it's fairly obvious that I'm here to stay and I want to pursue a career at Woods. So however that looks is obviously not just up to me, but I'm certainly going to do my best to present myself as someone who wants to be heavily involved in taking the business forward in years to come. There's many different objectives for why I want to do that, but I just feel that since I've worked in the business, I've developed a lot of interest and passion for the industry and the mission of us as a brand, you know, the people internally, so many different things about it. So I'm not ready to leave anytime soon, and I'm quite invested at this point and excited to see where things go. My sister and Lewis, I think Lewis has some very odd similarities to me in terms of personality, but also a lot of differences. So it's hard to say, and the certainty about a short-term plan is a little bit less linear. So it's hard to say what he wants to do. And again, it's
he's not going to know. He doesn't. You've said the reason he's doing what he's doing at this moment in time because he doesn't actually know what he wants to do. But hopefully this is part of the process that will help him make the right choice and the right decision. Yeah,
I think again, it's what you said about the pressure. I don't want to say anything that would suggest that there's any pressure on him to pursue a certain path, but I would certainly really like him to be involved. We're very close. We have a great dynamic. And again, if he's part of the operational side of the business, I see that side as sort of covered by, you know, that's just kind of the way I'm thinking. You're procurement, him on ops. Yeah. Holly's in sales. We have Jade, who's our sales lead, and she's been at Woods for over 10 years. She's an amazing asset to the business who, you know, I would really hope is here to stay for a long time as well. So Holly's kind of got some experience in marketing and sales. So it's kind of, there's definitely a place for a senior role there in the long run. It's just whether she wants to do that or not. She tends to be a little bit more thinking about the near future and not putting too much pressure on the longer term, which is completely fair. But yeah, my objective for the business, if I was to talk from my point of view, would be for all three of us to hopefully be involved at quite a senior level in taking things forward and continuing the legacy that my dad's built and all the hard work that he's put in. But, you know, that doesn't have to be all three of us. If one of us decides to do something different, you never even know what my course is going to look like. I might change my mind, but I don't see that happening, but maybe. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who feel like family, who've been with us for so long and have a place in that senior team as well. So for them to all be part of it would mean a lot to me personally as well. So that's kind of how I view things. But again, it's hard to say what the decisions will be. I guess we'll have to just...
But in terms of and perhaps sorry to lay the point, in terms of how you, where's the business in the broadest of terms? How do you see the business developing over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Well, I think from a procurement point of view, there's a lot of control I can have over what avenues we decide to go down. We've already started a partnership with HG Walter in terms of bringing in a little bit of fresh meat.
Okay.
Yeah, so because they're based quite near to us in Park Royal.
Yes.
We're at Uxbridge. So we've figured out a route that works and makes it quite quick with stock rotation, but it's very much still something that we're learning about. We've never done fresh meat before, and so they're helping us out with that, with a limited basket of their product, so it doesn't necessarily compromise the business they're going into London for. But people that already have a basket with us and just want to add on a couple of burgers or something, it's kind of what it's designed for. So
so you're not looking to be a primary meat supplier, you're looking to add to your range.
Yeah,
I get that.
At this stage, it's just about, we want to achieve that one-stop shop sort of objective, really, that it seems like it's kind of the avenue people are going down. Customers are preferring it. So we're that's one thing that we're doing from a product point of view. We also want to look at fresh bread in the near future and whether we can partner with someone to achieve adding that onto the services. We've obviously expanded geographically as well outside of London.
So where are you now then? Where'd you go?
We're going to Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, Bristol, Brighton and sort of some of the southeast.
All out of Uxbridge?
Yep.
Yeah.
At the moment, yeah. There are some, we've just joined Caterforce buying group.
Oh, yeah.
So some of the other members are helping us out with, say, maybe some of like the chain customers that we can't quite reach in Scotland or wherever it might be. So we're partnering up with them to sort of share the role with that until we sort of bridge the gaps. But doing really well in terms of, to think how much we've expanded out of London in the past few years is amazing. So obviously we want to build that up a little bit more, get a bit more of a presence generally across the UK. But I don't know whether we'd pursue a full national scope, because I think it's important to keep our competitive edge. And I think, as you know, and many of the listeners will know, we specialise in sort of the higher end of the market. So we're dealing with, Michelin-starred chefs, restaurants, high-end caterers.
Discerning and demanding.
Yeah. And, most of them, the London market is saturated with those guys. You're getting some of these new hotspots like Manchester and places, and the southeast as well, and some of the west has some really beautiful, Michelin star and high-end restaurants and establishments. So we're following them, but we're not going to necessarily open up the doors to all and sundry, up north and whatever else. We don't know how much of a market there'll be for us in particular. So I guess it's still a learning process. But we do have some very exciting things coming up. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to disclose in full yet, but
I'll disclose them and then we'll cut them out if we need to.
Okay. We've actually just agreed with another wholesaler, John Mower, that we're going to be acquiring them in the next year or so. So that's very exciting.
Okay, yeah. They've been around a while.
Yeah. My dad obviously has known of them for a long time as well, having been in the game for so long in London.
He used to, back in the day, I remember saying to me, he aspired to be as good as John Mower, funnily enough.
Yeah.
He started out,
He's said that to us, and I think it's a perfect way to define it as like a full circle moment, I think, because, I mean, they're an amazing, well-established business, but I think we certainly have something to bring, and we share a lot of philosophies. Their customer base would be the sort of customer base that we're looking for. They also have some, from what I've heard so far, some really high quality staff that we're hoping would contribute to the wider operation really nicely in the long run. It's funny because he did mention to me that they were sort of the blueprint of what he was hoping to be one day. And that goes to show, I guess, how much we've both grown, but also how much opportunity we could have if we put our powers together. So that's probably the most exciting news that I've heard this year, and that's just being signed off now. So
great. I mean, you make an interesting point there, because when you acquire businesses, it tends to be about the assets, the goodwill, customers, respect. But I've always been interested in how good are the people that are in this particular business, and what can they bring to the enlarged the enlarged business, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, I was involved in an acquisition about, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I was more interested in the people, or as interested in the people, what they could bring to it.
Yeah, well, I feel like the whole philosophy towards it it's kind of got my dad all over it, really, because he's always led with the mentality of people, process, service always comes before the value of an opportunity. And then naturally, I think one follows the other. And that's the way that Wood's been built, on that kind of philosophy. So, of course, the value of opportunities is always still going to be assessed. But, for example, if there's a customer that's asking us for quite a big split of our turnover, we would view that as, is this going to be a two-way relationship? Is this going to be, are they going to offer us the understanding that we are priced based on our service levels, our relationships with the customers, and our mission for sort of being the highest possible quality supplier? Or are they going to constantly chip away at us every month and compare us to the likes of people that aren't comparable, and not value our relationship? And if that's the case, we would happily decline, and that's just the way that we've been built. So that's how I can tell that the John Mower opportunity has been weighed up by much more than just the value of acquiring the business. It's about the longer term plan, who is going to be an asset to the business, which of their customers is going to be well suited to us, how can we help them? And I think when things are thought of in that intention, sometimes it ends up being much more valuable anyway, and that's Absolutely. The way I've been taught. So
yeah, exciting times.
Yeah.
Let's go off in a different direction. And it's one question I always like to ask people I'm talking to. Out of all the restaurants you've eaten in so far, if you could only choose one to go back to, which one would it be, and why? Be careful how you answer this, because obviously you're supplying a lot of customers, and it's a bit like saying, name your favourite child. So
I know, yeah.
Choose your words carefully.
Yeah, I thought about how to answer this. So obviously I've had the privilege of eating in many different places that are very, amazing experiences in many different ways, whether it's the food, the hospitality, we've had the benefit of experiencing a lot of it. So it does change. I would say if you asked me this question a month ago, it'd be different, because I'm eating so regularly in these places, which is a great advantage, but also means that I'm very torn when I get asked this question. But I'm going to say my current favourite, just to keep it.
Oh, get off the fence, for Christ's sake. You get splinters in your arse.
No, I'd say they have. This wasn't even recent that I dined there, so you could say it's been my favourite for a couple of years. But the Fox and Pheasant pub in Chelsea, it's not a typical choice. It's not a generic choice. It's an understated answer to the question. But the reason I say it is because they just get the gastropub fine dining balance so perfectly. Some of the stuff that they do in there is exceptional. I had a really nice Scotch egg in there. It sounds random, but it was just the best of the best. Like anything that's just as simple, if it's done to the best standard, it just
you're right.
It hits the spot. It's what you're looking for.
I get that completely. Yeah.
But not only that, the guys in there are so lovely. I've built a relationship with them over the years. Also, something I really like about them is they try to do as much as close to the source as possible. So they grow a lot of the herbs, considering they're based in Chelsea. They grow a lot of the herbs and stuff that they use on the roof of the townhouse that they're based on, which is really cool. And it's just things like that, like messages like that like speak to me and make me feel kind of connected to a place. And there are many different places, especially in London now, that are doing similar things, and I think that they've kept a real sense of like identity, but also service, quality, messaging, everything's just unmatched in there. So I'd highly recommend.
So that's the answer to the question today.
Yeah.
In terms of that particular restaurant, who would you go there with, and why? Now, this your choice can be somebody alive, somebody who's dead. Doesn't matter, whoever you want. So, who would it be, and why?
There's another one that you don't want to sound generic when you answer. So, I thought I'm not going to say like a historical figure, but whether it's generic or not, I would choose my granddad Richard.
All right, yeah.
It comes as a, I mean, it's one of those things that was very easy to answer for me. It just came straight into my mind. It was like, well, obviously my granddad, because
Is that your mum's dad or your dad's dad?
my dad's dad.
Yeah.
He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago during COVID.
Yeah.
And before then, he had Alzheimer's. So for probably about 10 years, he sort of lost his identity a little bit. But I remember when I was very young, him just being like the most bright, lively, funny person I've ever met. And not only that, but obviously I'd love to sit at a table, have a drink with him, and just kind of proudly tell him everything that we're doing at Woods. You know, he was obviously involved in the business on a much smaller scale before, over 40 years ago when we were established, and ever since then.
Yeah.
So it would be important for me to let him know how well we're doing and everything exciting that we've got coming up. But also just on a personal point of view, just to have a laugh with him. He was such a funny, lovely person, and I'd love the chance to make up for lost time. So easy choice for me.
Yeah, it's a lovely choice. I mean, there was somebody recently, was it Marco Caffarelli? He named that he wanted to go to his grandmother's house in Italy. Same thing. It was, going back a generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, I think, like, family is just the most valuable thing. I wouldn't swap that decision with anyone else. It just felt very natural for that to be my choice. So.
I've thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation. It's been great because thus far the podcasts have been with, should I say, people of a certain age.
Yeah.
And this is brought a completely different approach, different set of answers, a fresh approach to it. It's been great.
Good.
So, Rosie Labbett, thank you so much for coming to talk to us at Supply today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to Supplied. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow Supplied Podcast on Instagram, where we'd love to get your questions and suggestions for future guests. See you next time.